Okay, based on all of the rules that we learned about in the previous videos, we can move ahead to the next concept. Let's say I say Gina equals 10. So you all know by now that that means that we are setting a variable, a kind of a box called Gina, that is holding the number 10. On line 2, I'm going to say Gina equals Gina plus 1. And then on line 3, I will display Gina to the terminal. Take a moment and predict what will happen when I run this code. Let me run the code. As you can see, we get the number 11 displayed in the terminal. This all goes back to the Yoda rule, which is that when setting a variable, everything to the right-hand side of the equal sign gets calculated first. So in this case, what's on the right-hand side of the equal sign? It is Gina plus 1. What is Gina? Well, at this moment, Gina is holding 10. So Gina plus 1 will then compute to 11. Once we have 11, we then store that number in the Gina variable. Again, at first this seems awfully confusing. In terms of algebra, this line wouldn't make any sense. By definition, Gina cannot be Gina plus 1. But this is not algebra, this is coding. So the key here is to break down the order in which everything occurs. On line 1, we set the Gina variable to hold the number 10. On line 2, the first thing that happens is that the computer calculates everything to the right of the equal sign. So Gina plus 1, again, at this moment, Gina is 10. We compute 10 plus 1. Since 10 plus 1 is 11, we then take that 11 and reset Gina to hold that number. So on line 3, when we are displaying the contents of Gina, by that time, Gina is 11, and that is why 11 gets displayed in the terminal. Let's take another example. Let's say Fred is 2, and Helen is 5. And then we say Helen equals Helen plus Fred. And then we print Helen to the terminal. What will happen? Let's find out. We get 7 in the terminal. Again, you must break down the order in which everything occurs. On line 1, we create a variable called Fred and say that it should hold the number 2. On line 2, we create a variable called Helen and say that it should hold the number 5. On line 3, we must first focus on the right-hand side of the equal sign, as is the Yoda rule of variables. So the right-hand side says Helen plus Fred. Let's first compute what is Helen plus Fred. The answer is 7. Since Helen is 5, Fred is 2, 5 plus 2 is 7. Once we've got that result of 7, we say that henceforth Helen will hold the number 7. So on line 4, when we display Helen, we display 7 to the terminal.